Good morning, everybody. Happy first 100 days. Before we begin, I want to acknowledge that the bipartisan Take It Down Act passed the House last night. This important legislation was championed and guided through Congress by our wonderful First Lady, Melania Trump, including through her direct advocacy on behalf of survivors during her passage, the passage efforts. The Take It Down Act criminalizes the publication of non-consensual intimate imagery and requires social media and similar websites to remove such content within 48 hours of notice from a victim. The First Lady thanks all those who voted in favor of this important legislation, and the President looks forward to signing it when it arrives on his desk. Today officially marks 100 days of promises made and promises kept by President Trump. This has truly been the most historic start to a presidency in American history. After building the greatest economy in the world in his first term as president, President Trump is in the process of doing that all over again. The American people trust in President Trump. Since his first day in office, President Trump has focused on defeating the Biden inflation crisis, bringing down the cost of living, and making the United States the best place in the world to do business, invest, create jobs, and innovate. And President Trump's efforts are working. 345,000 jobs have already been added since the start of President Trump's term. Last month's jobs report saw nearly 100,000 more jobs than economists predicted, and it was the fourth highest month for private payroll growth in the past 2 years. 9,000 manufacturing jobs have been added to the economy already. This is a sharp contrast to the 6,000 manufacturing jobs that were lost each month in the final 2 years of the Biden administration. The U.S. employment rate remains at historic lows. And thanks to President Trump, Americans are seeing price relief for the first time in years. The last inflation report showed the first consumer price decline since the COVID pandemic, a decrease in energy prices, and real average hourly wage growth. President Trump is delivering on his promises to lower costs for American families and businesses. Prices across the board for everyday goods have seen declines since this president was inaugurated. From airfare to used motor vehicles to prescription drugs, prices are dropping. In fact, last month's drop in the price of prescription drugs was the largest ever recorded. And after Joe Biden botched the response to the bird flu, President Trump and Secretary Yellen's aggressive plan have brought down wholesale egg prices more than 50% from Inauguration Day. President Trump ended Joe Biden's reckless war on American energy and fossil fuels and has restored American energy dominance. And Secretary Wright, Secretary Doug Burgum are working hard on that effort every single day. Oil and gas prices are now way down because of this bold approach. Gasoline prices down 7%. Energy prices are also down as well. The Department of Interior just announced a new offshore drilling policy that will boost oil production in the Gulf of America by 100,000 barrels per day. On the deregulation front, President Trump is committed to cutting senseless red tape, especially for America's small business owners who are the backbone of our economy. We know cutting regulation leads to lower costs and higher growth. The mass deregulation effort by this administration will help usher in the golden age of America, which is underway. Immediately upon taking office, President Trump blocked all of the unfinalized Biden-era rules, saving Americans more than $100 billion, or $2,100 per family of four over the next decade. And the president also launched a bold multi-agency effort to roll back existing federal regulations that drive up the cost of living on hardworking families. This effort is projected to yield significant cost savings in the coming months, including the EPA's rollback of tailpipe emission rules for light-duty and medium-duty vehicles and the Department of Transportation's latest corporate average fuel economy standards. These two efforts alone yield $755 billion in total savings, or more than $8,800 per family of four over the next decade. In total, the combined savings from all of these actions equal just over $935 billion, or nearly $11,000 in real savings per family of four per the coming decade. The press is not talking nearly enough about the positive impact of President Trump's deregulation campaign. And investments from the biggest companies and countries in the world are pouring in under this president. So far, total investment commitments under the Trump administration have reached more than $5 trillion, including $500 billion from Apple in U.S.-based manufacturing and training, $500 billion from NVIDIA in AI infrastructure, $100 billion from TSMC and U.S.-based chips manufacturing, and the $500 billion private investment by OpenAI, Oracle, and SoftBank in AI infrastructure as well. All of these investment commitments are estimated to generate at least 451,000 new high-paying jobs for American workers and families. At this point, President Trump has secured more investments in the United States of America in 100 days than Joe Biden did in 4 years. President Trump is America's businessman in chief, and that's why these trillions of dollars in investments are flooding to our country. The business community is bullish on America because President Trump is back in charge. Tomorrow, the president will host CEOs and leaders from several companies that have made these investments to tout their historic commitments to our country and encourage others to follow suit. Under President Trump, there has never been a better time to invest in America. And the president finally said enough is enough and refused to allow America and our workers to be ripped off any longer on trade. President Trump implemented powerful tariffs to end the era of economic surrender and to rebalance America's trading agreements. More than 100 countries have already come to the table looking to offer more favorable terms for America and our people. There has never been a president who has created his own leverage like this president, and we are just getting started. Republicans in Congress are getting very close to passing President Trump's one big, beautiful bill, which will include the largest tax cuts in American history, strong border security measures, major military advancements, dramatic deregulation, and common sense spending reforms. As President Trump has said before, the best is yet to come. For more on President Trump's economic successes so far and the plans ahead, I want to pass it off to our incredible Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, who is here today, and we will open it up to questions. In our new media seat, we have Brendan Peterson, the financial services reporter for Punchbowl News. Punchbowl News covers power, people, and politics based in Washington, D.C., laser focused on Capitol Hill, the politics of legislating, founded in 2021, and it is the first newsletter that Capitol Hill and the White House reads every morning in the middle of the day and throughout the evening. Thanks for being here with us, and we'll start with you today.
Thanks so much for being here. I have a question for Secretary Bessent. On tariffs, the president said over the weekend that we are hoping that maybe tariff revenues could replace income tax. But we also keep hearing about the deals that the administration is pursuing. So my question is, what is the White House's ultimate objective here? Do you want to have long-term tariff revenue or deals that might reduce those tariffs?
I think it's a combination of both. So we're going to take in long-term tariff revenue. We put a process in place. We have 18 important trading relationships. We will be speaking to all of those partners, or at least 17 of them, over the next few weeks. Many of them have already come to Washington. What President Trump is referring to is the ability for tariff revenue to give income tax relief. And I think there's a very good chance that we will see this in the upcoming tax bill. The president campaigned on no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security, no tax on overtime, and the restoring interest deductibility for autos, for American-made autos. So tariff income could be used for tax relief on all those immediately.
So you think that there is a role for significant tariff revenue in U.S. fiscal policy?
I think that it is something that got put away a long time ago, and I think that tariffs will bring back American manufacturing and generate substantial revenues.
On manufacturing, we've seen some pretty grisly surveys this month from the Philly Fed, which saw the biggest drop since May of 2020, and the Dallas Fed, similar plunging outlook, poor shipping orders. What are American manufacturers not understanding about your push for onshoring in the U.S.?
Well, I think I was in the investment business 35 years, and I learned to ignore the survey data and look at the actual data, and the actual data has been quite good. The job data is good. Americans keep spending, and as Caroline said, we have these incredible commitments to bring manufacturing back on shore with record investment by domestic corporations and foreigners who want to come into the U.S.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you, Mr. Secretary. Secretary. The Chinese continue to say that the U.S. and China are not engaged in any consultation or negotiation on tariffs. You recently said you've talked to your counterpart, but more about, quote, traditional things like financial stability. So can you clarify, is the administration talking to Beijing specifically about tariffs or not?
Well, we're not going to talk about who's talking to whom, but I think that over time we will see that the Chinese tariffs are unsustainable for China. I've seen some very large numbers over the past few days to show if these numbers stay on, Chinese could lose 10 million jobs very quickly, and even if there is a drop in the tariffs, that they could lose 5 million jobs. So remember that we are the deficit country. They sell almost 5 times more goods to us than we sell to them. So the onus will be on them to take off these tariffs. They're unsustainable for them.
And they are saying you guys are not talking about it. So is that true?
Look, they have a different form of government. They're playing to a different audience. So I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty, again, of who's talking to whom. But as I said, I believe for the Chinese, these tariffs are unsustainable.
And very quickly, 2 days ago, you said you didn't know if President Trump had spoken to Xi Jinping. Do you know now?
Again, I would say Caroline and I have a lot of jobs around the White House, running the switchboard in one of them.
Bloomberg, go ahead. Secretary Bessent, thank you so much for being here this morning. You've talked about the importance of giving investors certainty when it comes to the market, yet the Trump administration is continuing to negotiate several complex trade deals in a very sort of compressed time frame. When do you expect you'll be able to give the market some certainty around those deals? Do you have a deadline? Is it the 90-day pause? What are we looking at here?
Good question. And I think one thing that has been a little disconcerting for the markets is, President Trump creates what I would call strategic uncertainty in the negotiations. So he is more concerned about getting the best possible trade deals for the American people. We had 4 years of bad deals for decades of unfair trading, and we are going to unwind those and make them fair. What we are doing is we've created a process. I think the aperture of uncertainty will be narrowing, and as we start moving forward, announcing deals, then there will be certainty. But certainty is not necessarily a good thing in negotiating.
Mr. Secretary, last night there were reports on the administration sort of walking back a little bit on the auto tariffs. Can you sort of just elaborate on that decision there and what we can expect going forward, and why sort of the shift in this auto tariff?
Well, President Trump has had meetings with both domestic and foreign auto producers, and he's committed to bringing back auto production to the U.S. So we want to give the automakers a path to do that quickly, efficiently, and create as many jobs as possible.
Jasmine.
Thank you so much, Caroline. Thank you, Secretary. Back on China, does the administration anticipate supply chain shocks or supply shocks coming now that cargo shipments from China are significantly down? And if so, are there plans in the process of how to address that?
I wouldn't think that we would have supply chain shocks, and I think retailers, they have managed their inventory in front of this. I speak to dozens of companies, sometimes daily, but definitely weekly, and they know that President Trump is committed to fair trade and have planned accordingly.
And then second question, can you outline the timeline for when you think some of these deals, particularly with your Asian countries like India, Japan, South Korea, you may have an announcement?
I'm glad you brought up our Asian trading partners and allies. They have been the most forthcoming in terms of doing the deals. As I mentioned, Vice President Vance was in India last week. I think that he and Modi made some very good progress, so I could see some announcements on India. I could see the contours of a deal with the Republic of Korea coming together, and then we've had substantial talks with the Japanese.
Andrea.
Secretary Bessent, just continuing on the path of the sort of progress. You said yesterday, I think, that it was could happen as early as this week or possibly next week, and give us a bit of a timetable. And then I wanted to ask about South Korea specifically. They've said that they probably won't be able to make a comprehensive deal until early July because of their elections. Japan also has elections. And to what extent are domestic factors complicating your efforts? Canada just had an election. Are you seeing that you might have to think about delaying the 90 days?
Well, I would actually take the opposite tack, that I think from our talks that these governments actually want to have the framework of a trade deal done before they go into elections to show that they have successfully negotiated with the United States. So we are finding that they are actually much more keen to come to the table, get this done, and then go home and campaign on it.
Sean.
I'm sorry, did you have a comment on whether something could happen this week or next week?
For
for a deal? Say, you said yesterday.
Again, I think that we are very close on India. And in India, just a little inside baseball, in India, in a funny way, is easier to negotiate with than many other countries because they have very high tariffs and lots of tariffs. So it's much easier to confront the direct tariffs when as we go through these unfair trade deals that have been put in over decades, that the non-tariff trade barriers can be much more insidious and also harder to detect. So a country like India, which has the posted and ready tariffs, it's much easier to negotiate with them. So I think the India negotiations are moving well.
Come on,
Hi,
now,
Mr. Secretary.
dog.
So it was reported this
Come
morning that
on,
Amazon
man.
will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect, crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Is Jeff Bezos still a Trump supporter?
Look, I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon. And Secretary, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, I would also add that the bringing down the terrible Biden inflation has been a priority for the first 100 days of the Trump administration, and President Trump has done a great job of leading that since January 20th. Interest rates, mortgage rates are down, gasoline and energy prices are down. We're expecting the further decreases. And as Caroline said, the big tax on consumers that goes unnoticed is deregulation or regulation, and we are deregulating and bringing that down. So from a household income point of view, we would expect real purchasing increases. We've seen them over the first 100 days, and we would expect that to accelerate. We are doing peace deals, trade deals, tax deals, and deregulating. And the deregulation is a longer lead time, but I think by the third and fourth quarters, that's really going to kick in.
Kelly, go ahead. Thank you, Caroline. A question for you and Secretary Bassett. We talked a lot about volatility and uncertainty in the marketplace, and the president has stated all along that he's more concerned about mainstream America, the American worker. You just talked about deregulation and this entire fair trade and reciprocals. What is your message to the American people in terms of letting them get through this disturbance and the outcome being greater and a greater good for the American worker, the American people, the American families?
I would say trust in President Trump. There's a reason he was reelected to this office. It's because of the historic success of his economic formula in the first term. And as I laid out at the beginning of the briefing and the Secretary has talked about and the President talks about every day, there's a proven formula that works. Massive deregulation, energy independence, and tax cuts, which are coming. And the Secretary is working very hard on that with our counterparts on Capitol Hill. If you want to talk about that, that's a huge deal to put more money back into the pockets of hardworking Americans. As for the fair trade deals the President is trying to negotiate, he's not just righting the wrong of the mess that he inherited from the past 4 years of the Biden administration. This is a mess that has been created for the past 4 decades that has sold out the middle class, that has moved jobs overseas. You think about our heartland, middle America, what towns used to look like, what they look like today. President Trump wants to restore the golden age, and it's a process to do that. And that process is underway, but he's put together a fantastic trade team. Secretary Bessent, Secretary Lutnick, Jamieson Greer, all working incredibly hard on this effort 24/7. But tax cuts are coming, and that's key. And Mr. Secretary, why don't you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so it's really a three-legged stool in the economic policy. It's trade, it's tax, and it's deregulation. So we are in the midst of addressing, as Caroline said, these long-term trade imbalances. The tax bill is going much better than I would have thought when I took office on January 28th, and that's through President Trump's leadership. That Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune are united. Speaker Johnson, we had a very good meeting yesterday with somebody called the Big Six, NEC Director Kevin Hassett, myself, Speaker Johnson, Leader Thune, Committee Chairman Jason Smith, and Senator Crapo. And the tax bill is moving forward. It is going to give permanence to the 2017 Tax Cuts and Job Act, which will, back to the question on certainty, it will give American business certainty, it will give American people certainty. And then President Trump is also adding the things for working Americans that I talked about earlier: no tax on tips, no tax on overtime, no tax on Social Security, making auto payments deductible. So that will substantially address the affordability crisis. And the other thing that I would note, and back to data, is that the Vanguard, one of the largest money management firms in America, said that over the past 100 days, 97% of Americans haven't done a trade. And in fact, individual investors have held tight while institutional investors have panicked. So individual investors trust, the investors trust President Trump.
Megan, in the back.
Thank you, guys. Can you detail for us exactly what we should expect as far as relief on the auto tariffs front? And then further, Mr. Secretary, should we expect other industries to also get relief the way we've now seen for auto and tech as well?
I'm not going to go into the details of the auto tariff relief, but I can tell you that it will go substantially toward reshoring American auto manufacturing. And again, the goal here is to bring back the high quality industrial jobs to the U.S. President Trump is interested in the jobs of the future, not the jobs of the past. We don't need to necessarily have a booming textile industry like where I grew up again, but we do want to have precision manufacturing and bring that back. And another important, very important function of this that does not get talked about enough is national security. President Trump, his overriding concern and belief is that economic security is national security is economic security. And we saw during COVID that our supply chains got cut off. And we need to bring back a lot of those supply chains, whether it's in semiconductors, medicines, the steel. And we have to onshore those. So it's a combination of making trade free and fair and remedying this gaping national security hole that he was left with.
And if I could on China.
I would just add, Megan, the president will sign the executive order on auto tariffs later today, and we will release it as we always do. Go ahead.
Guys, it's time to go. Another Purge of the BS. Keeping it 100 today. This is officially our first available call-in show. I'll put the link in if somebody would like to join. We're going to have a quick conversation about these first 100 days. This will be that episode. But because this is the Purge of the BS, you already know you got to subscribe to get in the chat, and you got to be that to get on screen. So if you decide you want to jump on with me, make sure you got yourself looking right, got some decent sound. Don't call me from the toilet. You understand the point. Show some decency. Now, since this is the Purge of the BS, I want to remind everybody that this is a objective conversation. We are here to get information and have conversation, not conflict. You got it? So just in case there's a problem, we always have the mod squad available in the chat to get rid of any of the troll patrol that stops by. If you're not here for the real, gotta go, gotta go. So as usual, because this is the Purge of the BS, I must run our disclaimer so everyone knows where we are, where we at. Let's go!
This is not a test. This is your emergency broadcast system announcing the commencement of another Purge of the BS, sanctioned by the First Amendment. Frustration levels 0 to 100 have been authorized for use during this purge. All weapons are restricted. Government officials have not been granted immunity from the Purge of the BS and shall undoubtedly receive the smoke. Commencing at the sound of the gong, any and all BS, especially unnecessary goofiness, will be purged without consequence. Police, fire, and emergency medical services will be available, but they will be busy because they will be watching the Purge of the BS. Blessed be those who have already been victims of some BS. May God be with you all.
Well, I hope you're ready, because this has been a very eventful last couple of months. I want to give a special shout to my man Al Bond stopping in the chat early, making sure we got everything ready, because today marks 100 days of the new Trump administration. And because of that, as you can imagine, for SEO purposes, we have to discuss that, okay? But because this is the Purge of the BS, you know, we're going to go over some other things first before we get to it. But just being honest, it's been a lot in the first 100 days. And I think you guys will be happy to know that we're going to go through the good and the bad, because there's good and bad people on both sides, okay? So hopefully you guys are ready for this. So let's see what we got first. Now, remember, I'm on my Zoom situation here, so let me pull up the chat just in case. Special shouts to Draco in the building already. Thank you guys for joining in early. We've been having some issues with notifications going out. I don't know what's going on with YouTube, so I'm glad to see y'all, man. Glad to see y'all. This gong is for you. All right. So, we're going to get into our first story, and then we're going to dig all the way into Trump, okay? Pause. Because there's been a lot that's been coming out lately, but I want to make sure that we cover the other stories, because as we all know, especially if you've been here before, you know, Trump's a headline, not the headliner, if that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? The headliner is us, the regular people out here trying to make it, trying to fight the good fight, trying to take care of our families, our kids. That's who this is about. This is who everything is really supposed to be for. So, but apparently, they sent me a clip here, and the headline was parking lot policing. So, oh, this is a long one. I don't know if I want to do a long one right now. Let me see here. We'll jump through it. Bear with me, guys. Let me bring it over to the screen for you. Oh, I thought I had it. There we go. All right, so let's hit the story. Here. Why is this all out of whack here? Oh, there we go. Sorry, guys, you're missing a piece of the screen here. That's a little better. All right, so apparently there was some young ladies in California who were in a parking lot, and I guess somebody thought there was a fight going on, and so they called the police. The police came on the scene, and then there was apparently a confrontation and a conflict that happened between the police and some young ladies. So the internet is calling for the firing of the officers. Some people are saying that the young ladies were the ones that incited the incident. I guess we're going to go over it and see what we think here. I haven't seen the thing, so this is going to be 100%, you know, we're all going to be seeing this at the same time. I'm reading the headline, okay? So anyway, like I said, we're going to get into some stuff here that might be a little sensitive. Grindface. All right. Well, shouts to Grindface TV for the clip. All right, so the police seem to be coming over here. They're talking to some people. All right, so the police come over to talk to him. Like I said, I'm going to jump through it because this is a 10-minute clip. All right, I can't really hear it. I know y'all can't really hear it, but I'll try to. Oh, whoa. Wait a second. Okay, right there was the problem. All right, so initially, they're walking up on him to, I guess, tell him to leave the property. This is apparently school property, and it is either right after school or whatever. I'm not sure of the context there, but basically they're on school property. The police were called, asked them to leave. They decided they didn't want to leave, and they were upset that the police even came to talk to them. That's what I gathered so far. So it looks like... Well, hold on a second. He just said, I asked you to leave, and she starts leaving. Uh-oh. Wait a second.
Hey, don't get on.
Hold on a second.
My arm, I gotta move my fucking arm. My arm.
All right, now keep in mind these are kids. These aren't grown adults over here. These are high school kids. Looks like. Whoa. Uh-oh. Oh, whoa, that's, you can't do that. I don't like this. It's to a degree the officer has to do what the officer has to do, but these are kids, man. Little girls, in my opinion.
Absolutely not. What? Get up. You have no right. You go over there. What the hell? What the hell?
Whoa, where did Pops come from? I don't even know what's going on now. Hold on a second. This dude walks in looking like the old guy from Family Guy. And I don't know. I thought initially he was trying to help the girl on the ground with the officer, but he goes over to this other girl. So let's see what we got here, man. Let's see. Meanwhile, this is the world we live in. Pops came up and tried to regulate. Watch this.
You have absolutely not. What? Get up. You have no right. You go over there. What the hell? What the hell are you touching me for? Get the hell out of here.
Yo, he got the strap in that little bag, boy. Look at, he got his hand on the back. Pop got something.
Hey.
It doesn't matter. I don't care, bro.
Hey.
You want to take my number down? I have that video recorded.
Oh my god, I'm not sure. We just got a job. I told you to throw your leg. We just got a job.
Let's go.
No. You pushing my sister like that. What the fuck? Bitch, don't talk to me because right now I'm feeling I was swinging with this foot.
Yo, stop. You gotta stop. You gonna be in them
I got it
cuffs
on video.
too,
I got it on
man.
video.
Knock it off. Bro, I got it. Stop.
What'd they do?
Yes,
What'd they say?
Just go.
What'd they do? What'd they do? I'm on the police side. Why don't you just keep your mouth shut?
Yo, Pops is not playing.
Hey, get away from her. Get away from her. Get away from her. I have it all on camera. They came and provoked you guys. Yes, I do. Okay?
We don't need you to make it any...
So if you guys want, get my number down and I'll give you the cameras. Yes.
I don't want to make the situation... No, I don't either.
We've been sitting in the car the whole time watching, so.
Get out of the way. Bitch, I'm a dog. Fuck out.
All right, now I'm gonna pause it right here. It's more to it. I don't know what more there could be. They're in handcuffs at this point. Now, let me make a very straightforward point. These officers had a tough time with some little girls. But in my opinion, I believe it was because they were trying to be gentle with these little girls to some degree. Because one of them, I think the first one that got locked up, she was kind of big, but the other one wasn't that big. And they could have just body slammed them on their necks. They could have done all types of wild stuff, considering the fact that they were being swung on and you know, the other girls fighting them. And the first cop I seen them pushing the girls off. That was within limits. Because if you're trying to, I don't know what started this, but the first thing was the officer saying, y'all gotta leave. And they didn't want to leave. And this is whatever private property or whatever. So that was the problem there, right? But when the girl turned to leave, then that's when he decided, or she decided, the other cop decided to like try to arrest her or whatever. Like, no, you can't leave. So it's like, look, do you want us to leave or not? Because I'm leaving. And as soon as I turn to leave, now I'm in trouble for walking away from the officer. So it's confusing to that degree, but I will say this. When you walk up on people punching and fighting with the police, you're not necessarily trying to stop them from doing that because you care that much about the police. It's like you don't want a person to make things worse for themselves, right? And even the slightest touch, like in the beginning part of the video where the girl kind of smacked the cop's hand, that's assaulting the freaking law enforcement officer. So when Pops came up, he was basically saying like, yo, just leave them alone, because that is at that point kind of the correct thing to do. Now, like I said, I didn't get the 10 minutes before where the cops were asking them to leave. We got to the beginning, and all of a sudden it was the suspicion that there was no crime. The crime was trespassing. They were asked to leave a private property or school property, but school property is technically private property after a certain time, especially if you're not supposed to be in like a class or at a football game or something like that, right? So wherever they were asked, or wherever they were at, they were asked to leave first. They decided they didn't want to leave. Then, when the girl finally turns to leave, that's when the first officer grabs her. So right there, that's what I call the point of escalation. I look forward in these videos. We find the point of escalation. When did it go from a confrontation to a full-blown conflict? You see what I'm saying? Or a conflict to a full-blown confrontation. So in this one, it was when the girl turned, the cop felt disrespected by the fact this girl was just, I'm going to do what I want. And she turned away, and that's how this thing started. But after that, the other girls reacted emotionally because their friend is now getting grabbed up by the police and pushed down to the ground and handcuffed. So being that they're little kids, little girls, start fighting back. And it doesn't look like they actually caused any real injury to any of these police officers because they're little girls. So it's a tough choice to make between did they use excessive force or not. I would say so far the goal was to get them to leave. They should have just let them leave. So that messed it up there. But as far as what they were doing in the scuffle, I saw the people doing way more than the officers were doing. So the internet was talking about the officers need to be fired for, police abuse, or you know what I'm saying? Police brutality, that one. And I'm like, so far, yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't see them body slamming. I see them do way worse to other people. They be slamming dudes on their neck, got them, like all types of stuff. So I think to a degree, especially once the cops started getting swung on, I thought he was going to pull a taser or something. He didn't pull nothing. So maybe these guys stayed within reason. But Draco, like I said, it started, they were asking these girls to leave some area that they weren't supposed to be in. They initially didn't want to leave. Then the one girl says something to the police, basically saying, I don't have to listen to you, but I'm going this way. Soon as she turned around, the female officer grabs her like, you're not going nowhere. But this is literally right after they said, I'm asking you to leave. So that's very confusing there. So in that part, it's almost like they wanted to escalate that. Because if a person's turning to leave, then they could have turned to the friends and said, now y'all follow her and get the hell out of here. And they could have just sort of walked behind them and sort of escorted them off the property or whatever. You know, there's ways to de-escalate and move this on. Now they got to take these kids to the damn police station. Their parents got to get a phone call talking about they were resisting arrest and battery upon a police officer and all types of stuff. Now there's going to be some type of court process because they're going to have to get a lawyer. And so all of this could be avoided if people can just do everything in their power to de-escalate. So I blame the lady cop for how this escalated, but then it went further when the girls started acting out. So we'll give this another 2 minutes to see what's up.
So just chill out, girls.
Let them do their job.
My sister is 16 years old. She's a minor. You had no right to put your hands on her. Okay.
Why don't you get dressed?
Touch you.
Bro, for real, shut the fuck up. Talk to your
mother. No, leave my sister. You're gonna go in handcuffs too. Go over there. I don't gotta go in handcuffs. I'm gonna say my sister. My sister's not doing nothing to her. Shut over there.
She could go in handcuffs, though. You see what happened to the other two.
Go back up. We're right here. You're making the problem worse. Bitch, you make the problem worse. We are not on school property. We are not. We are not. fucking black gate. Y'all came to us when we're on the fucking phone with my fucking mom.
Haley, come on, please. You don't need to.
Is your mom still on the phone?
Because y'all really gonna make me touch you. I don't give a fuck if you're police or not. Y'all ever in your fucking life fucking touch my sister like that. The fuck? You did not have to throw her on the fucking ground.
She gonna faint.
Is your mom on the way?
Give my phone to Haley.
Haley, where's your phone?
Over here with babe. Over here with the girls. Take the girls over here. Take the girls
I'm
over
recording.
Here. I know, that's fine.
Hold up, whoa, what's going on in the background there?
You guys just chill over here.
See, everybody needs to calm down. And stop letting Pops walk so close up. He might have something in that little brown satchel. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, is her mom pulling up? Uh-oh. I wonder where the kids get the behavior from. Right off top, moms came in swinging. This is not how you de-escalate situations with the officers. I'm like I said, I'm not talking about let's kiss the police ass. I'm just saying don't come in swinging. Okay? Let's see what happened. Can somebody explain why my kid is on the ground in handcuffs right now when I was down the street on the way to come pick them up from this place because apparently they were waiting on a ride. So this is all because they were waiting on a ride somewhere. Somebody didn't want them standing there. And the police were called, and this is what ensues. But the mother shows up, and this is what happens. Okay, all right, I see what's going on now.
Don't fucking touch me.
See.
Don't fucking make it worse. Stop. We're gonna be fighting. Don't fucking fight.
Okay, well, they took the one girl out the cuffs.
Let her go. I'm going to calm her down. I don't need you grabbing on her.
Get in the car.
Just relax.
No, it doesn't matter. Get off the car.
Get the fuck off.
Oh, come on, y'all.
Get off.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit back.
Oh, she broke out the cuffs. She came out the cuffs on her own. I just noticed that. I thought they let her out the cuffs. No, she got up and somehow got the cuffs off her wrists and then came back over there. She should have just gone and got in the car like her mother said. This is a wild ass scene, y'all. I'm sorry. I was not expecting all this. The headline was parking lot pimp, but right here you go. She still got the handcuff on her wrist right here. So she basically just broke out the cuffs and then goes back over there. Like, all right, man. I'm gonna give this another moment, then we're gonna just push on. This is sad to me.
I don't need you grabbing on her.
See, then she walks over there. You're supposed to be in cuffs.
Get the fuck off.
Here we go.
Get the fuck off of her.
Whoa.
Sit down. Sit down. Sit back. You're going to
Hey.
Oh, this is going wild. This is going crazy now. Oh my God. Okay, now okay. All right, I can see where people are upset.
But she just hit my fucking kid. Bro, you just hit my daughter.
Well, you just got body slammed, ma'am. Looked like she had some cushion in the back for the fall, so she was good. But
I cannot. Did you really put your hands on my fucking child? Bitch? Are you serious?
Where'd the other one go?
You didn't put your hands on my fucking daughter?
well, it looks like only mom's going to jail now. Okay, well, she definitely went out of line. All right, let's see what else.
Just relax.
That way.
Oh no, hold on. They got the daughter.
What do you need?
Atlanta, relax. How you want to tell me to say that? Relax, Atlanta.
Get it back, dude. Get it back, dude.
Oh, now backup done rolled up. It's about to get real. Y'all better chill. They taking everybody to jail.
Babe, get in the car.
Yo, I'm gonna tell you what right now, okay? All right, because it looks like this is pretty much the gist of it. But I'll say this: Mom's calmed down real quick when she was on that pavement, and she doesn't seem to be too hurt. So I'm not saying she deserved it. I'm just saying it happened in the heat of the moment, and it did to a degree de-escalate her, and she was making it go even worse. She showed up, supposed to be the voice of reason to some degree. And instead of that, she comes in hot, comes in swinging on the police. That is not how you get your kids out of trouble. So now everybody's going to jail. Mama going to jail, daughter's going to jail. I think the cousin is going to jail. Everybody going to jail except the little light-skinned Latina girl that was there at the beginning arguing with the old man. Everybody else is going to jail. See? Yes, we did get all of that. They did get all of that. But they did see you come up there firing off, moms.
Hey, bro, we got this from the...
Jeez. And now we got 80,000 police over here because of this. For some little girls. Now you want your sock fixed. You real calm now. But I'm going to tell you what. A body slam will calm somebody down real quick. She is a whole different person right now. She is a whole different person right now. And that's because she was taken from up here and she's put down here and she realized, you know what? This is dumb. You know, we need to not be fighting like this. This is crazy. So, oh my goodness. So guys, all right. I see this is pretty much it. Let's see. Everybody goes to jail. Mama goes to jail. That's crazy though. Mom's rolled up and made the whole thing worse. But I told you the little Latina girl in the beginning, the light-skinned one, she the only one that didn't go to jail. She the only one that didn't go to jail. And no, I'm not trying to pull the race card. I'm just saying that as far as her behavior, she didn't take it to where everybody else took it. And that's why she didn't go to jail. You understand what I'm saying? But she's mad about the cuff tightness.
And then they started handcuffing two of the kids, but then they started
This is generational, guys. I hate to say it. That was their mama. And when the mama rolled up, coming in hot, it kind of told everybody, okay, we see where they get their aggression from. It comes right from their mama. And I'll venture to say this is probably a single parent household, you know what I'm saying, without much involvement from others because they all acted exactly the same. And there was no buffering. So they're going to have a hard time getting a bunch of money out of the police on this because of the position they played in the escalation. I do believe that they didn't have to be as forceful in some of the situations, but people are swinging on police officers. They're lucky they didn't get shot. That's all I'm going to say. They're lucky they did not get shot. You got it, Draco. Change of altitude will change your attitude, okay? In case y'all don't know, when you take somebody from up here to down there real quick, and they realize they didn't do that to themselves, like it was done to them, oh, people get humble real quick. She got real humble. She was a whole different person till the very end of the video. She was very quiet. She was like, did y'all get that recorded? Because I just want to make sure it's recorded. You know, but they hit my daughter. They hit my daughter. She was being so nice about it. Mm-hmm. But she went to jail that day. Everybody went to jail. Who y'all gonna call with mama in jail with you? It's sad, man. It's sad. So those folks, I don't know. The internet is saying that there was police brutality. I personally believe that the police used some level of restraint because if that would have been young, let's say 13 to 14-year-old black males and a black father or black male came out there and the same thing happened, it would have been a bunch of bodies floating around. That's what it would have been. So these guys, the family, they get the thumbs down. That was some bullshit. All right, let's get back on. Let's get to the next story. I'm through with these guys. All right, we're through with these. Okay. Well, that was longer than I thought it was going to be, so the next one's going to have to be shorter. But y'all can have your conversations about it as you feel. Let's see what I can do with 9 minutes here. All right, let's go this route. Some options here. Some options here. Some real options here. And you know what? That one was just so shocking after a while. It's like I gotta relax first before I go to something else. I need my mind to be in the right place here. So let's see, what do we have next? We got, talking about Jazzy Croc. Seen that. Okay. So we're gonna go into, we in Neuralink already? Nah, I got one more for that. No, we're gonna go into Neuralink. Since we are talking about our Trumpy 100 days, let's keep it focused. All right, but I had to go over that other clip with you because it just hit the internet and everybody was talking about it and police brutality again and so on and so forth. So I wanted to go over it, make sure that we are all in agreement that that is not how you de-escalate situations with the police. And I believe that those people are lucky that they did not get unalived by those same police, considering their behavior. Okay? Not saying the police were 100% right the whole time. I'm just saying if they would have decided to start shooting people, they probably would have got away with that. Just saying. Would have been called justified, as they say. So anyway, back to our topic at hand. Keeping it 100, Trump's first 100 days. One of Trump's best buddies, you guys know him as the Muskster, okay? M-U-S-K-S-T-E-R, the Muskster, all right? Also known as Elon Aloysius Musk, okay? I don't know if that's his middle name, but it would be crazy if it was. But he's been working on some stuff, and I know we've been talking about, I don't know if you guys have seen the show. There's a show called Black Mirror on Netflix. And they had this episode, I think it was the first episode, where a person had something implanted in their brain because they had a problem with memory or something like that. Basically had like a brain cancer. So they took part of the brain out and then they put this basically AI in the brain. It became a subscription service for your brain. So like the brain would work, but if you didn't pay the bill, then all of a sudden the person would just shut down and that was it. So it was really crazy, but I was talking with my wife about it and I said, you know what? We're not too far off from that. They're going to find somebody who's willing to, you know, have some tests done on them that has a debilitating disease. And before you know it, we're going to have people that have literally like AI chips in their brain. Okay. So it was a conversation that was had. Well, apparently it's happening now. So if you guys don't know, Neuralink, which was made by Elon's company, I want to say, well, SpaceX is its own company, and so is Neuralink, had a breakthrough where they gave somebody with ALS the Neuralink chip. Now, he's not doing complex stuff, but I just think it's something that we should note. That's 10 years from now will be a moment of, you know, innovation that we saw. I just think that we should just take a moment to look at it. So if you would bear with me here. All right. So we got Neuralink. So this guy is the guy in the middle here with the thing in his neck. I'm sure you could figure that out on your own. And speed this one up a little bit. And the question that is surrounding this is if Neuralink was proven and tested to increase mobility, reaction time, intellect, and IQ, would you put it in your head? Okay? So we're gonna go through this guy's clip, but this is where it's gonna
in the
go.
world to receive the Neuralink brain implant. I'm also the first person with ALS and the first nonverbal, which means that I rely on it for all communication. I'm making this video using the brain-computer interface to control the mouse on my MacBook Pro. This is the first video edited with the Neuralink, and maybe the first edited with a BCI. This is my old voice, narrating this video, cloned by AI from recordings before I lost my voice.
Hey,
I want to explain how Neuralink has impacted my life and give you an overview of how it works. I have ALS, a really weird disease that kills the motor neurons that control my muscles, but not affecting my mind. My experience has been pretty interesting, starting with a shoulder injury that would not heal and ending up with my current status. I cannot move anything but my eyes, and I am totally reliant on a ventilator to keep me alive and breathing. My wife, Tiffany, is the best caregiver I could ever imagine. She does everything for me, with only our kids and friends and family to help. She is the key to making Neuralink work. I will stop talking about her because she doesn't like the attention. Before Neuralink, I had to use an eye gaze control computer for all communication. It is a miracle of technology, but it is frustrating. It works best in dark rooms. So I was basically Batman. I was stuck in a dark room. Neuralink lets me go outside and ignore lighting changes. So how does Neuralink work? The implant is in my motor cortex, which is the part of my brain that controls body movement. The actual implant is the size of 5 US quarters in a stack. It replaced the hole in my skull. The threads are placed by a robot just a few millimeters into my brain, avoiding the blood vessels so there is almost no bleeding. It connects to the computer via Bluetooth, and the computer does a lot of processing. This is a feed from the 1,024 electrodes in my brain. In green...
Don't that look like the Matrix? Yeah, I don't know about y'all, man. I've been talking about this for a minute. It's starting to become a little bit creepier because if you think about it, if a bunch of people start getting chips and becoming enhanced, then it's going to force other people to need to get them to keep up. Y'all ain't even catching it, man. Y'all ain't even
It looks like
catching
the Matrix.
Hey, make
This
sure
is
you
the
hit
raw
the like
signal that my
button too,
brain is
man.
giving the computer.
Hold on a second. Let me pause this. Hit the damn like button. I know y'all is so into this wonderful content, so hit the like button. And if you're feeling crazy, I'll bring you up here in a minute. If you're feeling crazy, but you got to put that in the chat. So anyway, let me let this guy finish talking about what's coming. Y'all better be ready.
The computer has to decide what is important, finding the signal and ignoring the noise. The Neuralink implant embedded in my brain contains 1,024 electrodes that capture neuron firings every 15 milliseconds, generating a vast amount of data. AI processes this data on a connected MacBook Pro to decode my intended movements in real time to move the cursor on my screen. Neuralink does not read my deepest thoughts or words I think about. It just reads how I want to move and moves the cursor where I want. How do I train the system? This is how I train the system to interpret my intended movements. I move the cursor to the bubble and hold over it until it disappears. The yellow targets are just for holding over, and the blue targets are for clicking. We initially tried to move my hand to control the cursor, but it was not doing well. After a lot of research and mapping how body movements match the signals from my brain, Neuralink engineers found that my tongue was the best for moving the cursor, and clenching my jaw was best for clicking. So I trained the system with my tongue, and it works much better. I am not actively thinking about my tongue, just like you don't think about your wrist when you move a mouse. I have done a lot of cursor movements in my life. I think my brain has switched over to subconscious control quickly, so I just think about moving the cursor. This is WebGrid. It is the way Neuralink and others use to quantify how well they are able to decode intentions. I click boxes and it measures my score. If I click outside the target, my score goes down. I have reached a top score of 5. My score was less than 1 before Neuralink with eye gaze. You can try WebGrid on Neuralink.com/WebGrid, and you can see how fast you are. Tools to make it work.
Wow.
This is the mixer, which has tools to adjust how the cursor behaves. First is bias correction. Because the brain is constantly changing, the cursor drifts over time. So it is like the cursor moves in a random direction. This tool lets me adjust how the cursor drifts. This is a great reason why Neuralink is doing human trials, because the monkeys cannot explain how the cursor drifts. Monkeys just give up when bias gets difficult and want snacks. They are like my children in that way.
So the
This
monkey
is the speed
controlling it with his
It changes
tongue
the speed
to
that the
what
cursor moves
the
around.
hell, bro?
Speed also changes across different models and over time. Able-bodied people can adjust the mouse speed dynamically, and I can do that a bit. But the speed control sets the baseline speed for the cursor.
So this basically I could type thinking it. That's what he's saying. Like a person that's totally able-bodied, I could just think about typing and type from wherever. Like, I don't even need an actual keyboard. I can just move my fingers and think of where that would, because I know how to type. So I know where my fingers would go, which finger I would use, shift this or whatever, and my brain would be able to dictate that. So I'd probably be able to type faster because I wouldn't have to be limited by the physical clicking of each key. I'm not saying I'm getting the thing. I'm just talking about how would this enhance a regular person that had full motor skills, just off the basics of what this person is talking about right now. If you have full motor skills, they don't have to use your tongue. They use your actual motor skills. So you're able to interact via Bluetooth just by what your brain would be telling your body to do. Crazy work, y'all. Crazy
They adjust it
work.
often. These are friction and smoothing that are more advanced settings that refine cursor movements. They might change as Neuralink develops the system. The last thing is the click stiffness, which adjusts how hard it is to click.
Pause.
Keyboard and parking spot. This is the virtual keyboard developed by Neuralink. I can't move or speak, so I rely on the keyboard for everything. It gives word suggestions for the situation, and it pushes apps out of the way. I do a lot of different things with keyboard shortcuts. So I created a keypad using the Mac accessibility keyboard to make some keystrokes easy to use. Things like select all, copy, paste, undo, and ways to navigate the page are all really useful, and I can use the toolbar and some shortcuts. The other feature I asked for is the parking spot. Sometimes you just want to park the cursor and watch a video. The first two participants could use voice commands to pause the cursor. I could not do that. So I asked for a way to park it.
Absolutely nuts.
So it would only come out when I want it to. I can go to the bottom right, and the cursor jumps into the circle. When I want to get out, I have to hit the dots in a specific order, and it jumps out. When it is in the parking spot, I can watch a show or take a nap without worrying about the cursor. I heard that the other two people love this feature, the chat app and communication. The hardest thing about ALS is thinking much faster than I can type. We have created a chat app that uses AI to listen to the conversation and gives me options to say in response. It uses Grok 3 and an AI clone of my old voice to generate options for me to say. It is not perfect, but it keeps me in the conversation and it comes up with some great ideas. My friend asked me for ideas for his girlfriend who loves horses. I chose the option that told him in my voice to get her a bouquet of carrots. What a creative and funny idea. We are also working on a faster way to type with the cursor. The standard keyboard is designed for two hands to alternate sides. We found a keyboard designed for a single finger or mouse. But I know the standard keyboard really well. Is it faster to start over and learn a new keyboard? I used Grok AI to make this app to train me on the new keyboard. I don't know how to code, but Grok walked me through it and wrote the code, so I'm really impressed. What does it mean for me? Neuralink has given me freedom, hope, and faster communication. Overall, the whole Neuralink experience has been fantastic. It has improved my life so much. I am so happy to be involved in something big that will help many people. I have enjoyed working hard with interesting people on important questions. I'm still trying to get faster at communication. I've spent the past few years with ideas and thoughts that I cannot share because it takes too much time to type it out. I can already communicate faster and in more ways than I could before, and we are still working on ways to get even faster. Like Noland, the first Neuralink recipient, I believe that God has put me in this position to serve others. I have not always understood why God afflicted me with ALS, but with time I am learning to trust his plan for me.
That was nice. All right, so let me ingest that real quick because I've been saying that this was coming. But if you take a person who has no motor ability and so they can't actually move parts of their body. Remember, what was that thing? Minority Report. And Tom Cruise had like these things on his fingers and he was moving stuff around and all that kind of stuff. If you have that connected to the brain, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not a genius or nothing like that. But if I could navigate the physical realm quicker, like let's say if I could type as fast as I could think, because I type pretty fast, but I don't type as fast as I can think. You see what I'm saying? So I have to, when I'm putting my thoughts down and I'm typing them, even at 75, 80 words a minute, which is pretty fast for a person typing, it's nowhere near how quickly the idea and information is actually coming out my brain. The human brain is quicker than the AI. So like when you put something in Chat GPT or AI, let's say that it was information that you actually knew and somebody asked you the question, you would be able to answer faster than the AI because you don't have to search the same way. So a lot of people get it twisted and they say, well, AI is smarter than people. No, AI just has quicker access to the information that you may have never known or may have forgotten. And if you mix that, now you have basically a supercomputer as a brain. So if you want to create coding for malicious programs, all you got to do is think about it, communicate that thought to the AI creates it, and then you do it. And you just make it happen. So this Neuralink thing, like I said, it's going to start out, yes, we're using monkeys. Now they're doing human trials. And this is people with handicaps. But there's no regulation to say that only people with handicaps can use this thing. So what's going to happen? Somebody is going to try it for, let's say, somebody with Down syndrome or something like that, where, or maybe autism, one of those kind of things, where they'll start using it to allow people with not as much physical disorders, but more so mental disorders to start communicating better. And once you do that, this is an AI model. That means it's going to be continuously learning. It's going to get implanted in more brains. And before you know it, you'll be networked to the car. You won't even have to start the car. Like, you'll just be going to the car and think, start the car. And then the car starts. Wow. That's crazy. I hope y'all ready. So let's get back to this. Let's get back to it. I'm sorry. I like tech. I'm a tech guy. So when I see some cool stuff come out and I see the capabilities and the possibilities of it, I gotta acknowledge it. I have to. All right. So anyway, get back to this thing here. All right, guys. We are going to move it right along and get into our actual SEO script since we're here. 100 days. How you feeling on the 100th? I don't know. I have my own thoughts about it, but we're going to get into it here. Make sure that you hit that like button. Make sure that you subscribe. Jump in the chat. Let me know where you're coming in from. Make sure you share the live as well, because we do need to make sure that people are even notified. They're not sending notifications for the lives anymore. So, you're not on there. You just, I don't know. Weird now. Things have changed. We're supposed to have more free speech. It seems like it's being constricted again. So we're going to talk about that. So, all right, let me double check, make sure my stuff is up, and let's get into this. We only got so much time here today. So we're 100 days into Trump's term now. And there's been fierce backlash. There's been people loving it. There's been, happiness and sadness on all sides, right? And it seems like what is going to happen, or what they're going to try to do, is extend everything into another situation where they're trying to impeach Trump again. And we're going to go over some things that actually did happen within this first 100 days. But because I just mentioned the whole impeachment thing, I got to bring up the clip of this guy saying he's about to impeach Trump. He's a senator, something like that. And we're going to talk about it. 100 days in, and they're already on the impeachment shit. 100 days in. Okay? So y'all can tell me if you feel like this guy has a leg to stand on, or if he's bringing the wrong charges in this first 100 days. Do you believe, and this is the question for this segment, is, do you believe after Trump's first 100 days that he should be up for impeachment? Okay? So that's our question here. Should he be up for impeachment? Matter of fact, I'm going to put it in the poll here. Pause. Here we go. And I want y'all's answers too. All right, so poll is up. I want to see y'all's answers on there. we're going to get into it here, but I'm going to let y'all see this guy who's talking about the impeachment first, okay? All right. Y'all got it. Y'all got it. All right, so y'all see this gentleman. I've brought him up before and I couldn't remember his name, but his name is Shri Tanadar. And I was telling y'all about his hair before because his hair had me laughing. And here he is. Shri Tanadar is now the guy who is going to get Trump impeached, or at least that's what he's saying. So I'm going to let y'all hear his little speech. Then we're going to go into what Trump has or has not done in his first 100 days. And then we're going to get the hell out of here. Okay. So let's see what this guy has to say. This hair, though, it looks better in this shot than the one that he had in the other picture I put up, but it still looks horrible.
This is Congressman Shri Tanadar.
Is it?
Donald Trump has already done real damage to our democracy.
Oh, shit.
But defying a unanimous 9-0 Supreme Court ruling, that has to be the final straw. It's time we impeach Donald J. Trump. The court said the wrongfully deported Kilmer Garcia must be allowed to return and receive due process. Trump ignored it. He ignored the Constitution. He ignored the very checks and balances that keep our democracy intact. This isn't an isolated incident. It's part of a dangerous, deliberate pattern.
Yo.
That's why today I introduced a resolution to impeach Donald J. Trump, outlining 7 articles of impeachment. Article 1, obstruction of justice and abuse of executive power.
Hold on, I gotta pause it. Did this guy do a debate before he was elected to whatever he was in? He's from Michigan. I mean, he doesn't sound like if you met him and say, hey, where you from? He'd be like, I'm from Michigan. You wouldn't believe it. You'd be like, nah, bro, you from elsewhere, right? Where's your family from? So I don't know. I'm just saying, this is the guy. After all that's gone on, after the Jasmine Crockett's and the Al Greens and the Cory Bookers and the AOCs and the Bernie Sanderses and the da-da-da-da-da, you list it, you name it. This is who they brought to us to present the impeachment of Donald Trump. I want to take the man seriously, but it's very hard, okay? It's very hard. I'm a comedian by nature. I see and hear things in a funny way, and this guy is talking in a funny way. He's presenting in a funny way. His hair is in a funny way, and so far, I don't believe it. I don't believe he's got the Canucks to handle this job that he says he's taking on. I just feel like he would get slaughtered in the Supreme Court when they're trying to have the hearing and they're asking questions and all this kind of stuff. This guy.
Denying due process to unlawful deportations, Trump defied court orders. Article 2.
Okay.
Taking away Congress's power of the purse. Trump dismantled agencies and froze funds without permission from Congress.
Well, that's what an executive
Article
order
3,
does, right?
Abuse of trade powers and international aggression.
Why do they give him such big words?
Damaging tariffs.
He looks like he's taking an English class and they're giving him this thing to read for like his final report. Because it's not authentic. He's not freestyling this, obviously, because they put too many big ass words in there that he is struggling to formulate. Now, I give him props on the fact that at least he's slowing down so he can get it out. But it's obvious that like this doesn't feel comfortable for him. It's almost like it feels like a hostage video. Like somebody's in the back with the pistol, like, yo, you better read this note right now. That's how it feels to me. It feels like a hostage video. But let's let him keep going. It's only like a minute left in it. Let's see what else he got to say.
And threatened military invasions of our allies.
Did he?
Article 4, violation of First Amendment rights. He has retaliated against journalists, attorneys and critics for exercising their right to free speech.
Their right.
Article 5, creation of an unlawful office establishing the so-called Department of Government Efficiency.
What are you talking
Doge,
about?
and giving Elon Musk unconstitutional power over our government and personal data. Article 6, bribery and corruption. He has dismissed criminal cases and solicited payments from foreign governments and coerced legal settlements for personal and political gain. Article 7, tyrannical overreach. Finally, and most importantly, he is attempting to consolidate unchecked power and erode the constitutional limits of the presidency. In this country, we have presidents,
Yes,
not
we do.
kings.
We have
That's
presidents.
Not just misconduct, it's impeachable misconduct. This isn't leadership, it's tyranny. If we let this stand, we are saying the president is above the law, that the United States Constitution is optional. I won't be silent, and I'm calling on all my colleagues, Democrats, Republicans, and Independents, to stand up with me. Enough is enough. Donald J. Trump must be impeached.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
Okay. All right, guys. Well, what do you think? What do you think? In the chat. Let me see what the poll is saying. Somebody's going to say, look, I want to see this guy's paperwork. I would like to let's just be sure, about this guy. I don't know, but I'm just saying we got like 200 something senators, right? And 200, 400, it's hundreds. It's multiple hundreds. And at least half of them, or close to half of them, are Democrats. And this guy is a Democrat. And the Democrats been talking about how they're going to deal with Trump for a while. So why is this the guy? In Jay-Z's quote, we don't believe you. You need more people. You really do. This guy's not going to cut it, guys. This ain't it. You'd have been better off with AOC or whoever trying to lead the charge for this. This is absolute debauchery. This man is like the butt of the joke for every joke that has been told about Indian people or Pakistani or whatever. He's like the stereotypical. He's got the accent. He's talking interesting. They got him as a meme, as Apu on The Simpsons with this hairstyle. This is not like when you put out a crew and you about to do something, you got to be very mindful of who goes out first. Because if you put the wrong person out first, we're not going to take you seriously. And I can't take this dude seriously. I'm sorry. I cannot take this guy seriously. I'm trying. I'm really trying. I listened to what he said. Informationally, it's listenable. But this is the guy. This is the guy. You want me to be behind this guy? You want me to just support this guy? I would slaughter this guy in a courtroom. And I'm not even a lawyer. With some of the stuff that he said. A lot of it is the president's just allowed to do certain things, and that's what sucks about it. And so we're not going to spend 3 damn years again trying to impeach Donald Trump when, one, he can't run again anyway. Well, unless he tries to do that whole change in the Constitution, 22nd Amendment, I think it is. But we'll deal with that bridge when we get to it. For right now, I hate to say it, but where's the Democratic Party, man? Y'all don't talk at all. Y'all didn't discuss this with Shri Tanadar before he decided to put on his little gray suit and his special hairstyle and come out on X and everything trying to say we get ready to impeach Donald Trump. Don't try to make these people think that's what you can do. I heard what you said, but nope. He getting out of here. Trump will find a way. I don't know what it's going to be, but if you haven't learned nothing, some people just be getting deported. And then what are we going to do as the regular folks? What, go visit them in El Salvador? No, we're not going to be able to do nothing. So y'all better watch out. This guy is coming strong for Donald Trump. He's a formidable opponent. He's dropping his knowledge on the internet. He's ready for y'all. And I don't believe any of that. But I will at least wish the man luck because I don't want nothing bad to happen to him. But I just think you might have stepped out there and does anybody know who he is? I didn't know who he was. I didn't know who he was. So now he's going to be the butt of every joke and eventually he'll become a target. If he did anything wrong in his immigration papers or his naturalization or whatever, the Trump team and the FBI, Department of Justice, they already on it, bro. So I hope your background is clean. Yo, see what I'm telling you? The internet is already having a field day. Democrats, we need your help with this guy. Either take him down off of the soapbox or just take over the soapbox. But this is not the guy you go with. This is not the guy. I'm no politician. I'm no campaign manager, but this ain't the guy or girl or whatever we're talking about. I don't even know. All right, so apparently he ran a dirty animal shop back in the day, according to this, he was doing a testing lab on beagles and monkeys. And the lab went bankrupt, and then all of the monkeys and the beagles had to be taken somewhere else. So, all right, guys. Well, let's get this one guy's comment in here, his little video, and then we're going to move into our next part of our Trump 100. But like I said, it only took 100 days before they started this impeachment shit. And they did it last time, and we saw what happened there. So I'm just saying, we may not want to run that race again. It might be a different angle is a better way to go if you're trying to get rid of Donald Trump. Or maybe you could try to work with it and find ways to make change from the inside, considering the fact that you have the congressional job for that purpose. But why do your job? Why do that? That's crazy, right? So, nonetheless, this guy is going to talk about Shri, who now this has become a topic. Like I said, this guy, I didn't even know this guy. Now everybody knows this guy. Now everybody's talking about this guy. Put the wrong guy.
We voted for Trump. We voted for America first.
Okay,
we voted for sovereignty, not sellouts.
Okay.
And now these goofy-looking foreign influence puppets with toupees, fake smiles, sit in Congress, try to undo the will of the people. They don't represent us. They never did.
Uh-oh.
And it's time to remove every foreign influence seat warmer who stands against the American mandate we fought for. This is our country, not theirs.
Okay.
Congressman Shri.
Oh.
88? Is that when you became a United States citizen? We should rescind that. And anyone that's a foreign influencer inside Congress need be removed immediately. He voted.
All right, well, he's a little extreme with it. If you did the process, we say that you're supposed to be allowed to run for Congress. And if you're going to blame anybody for this dude being in front of you, blame whoever the hell voted for him in Michigan. Michigan, I blame you. Whatever seat that is and whoever voted for that, y'all knew what y'all put down there. Who was at the town hall? Who was there who I need to actually blame for this? Because it seems like this dude, unfortunately, not the guy that's in the shot right now, but the Shri Tanadar guy seems to be the only one that has the balls to even try what he's doing right now. So to a degree, it's almost commendable. But because the United States has a kind of a small racism problem, or at least prejudice, let's say that. We definitely got a problem with prejudice. This is not the guy. This is not the guy. He doesn't represent America. He's not American to the degree that people would want him to be. He's brown but not black. His hair is like a Caucasian person's hair, but it doesn't look authentic. So he looks phony and fake, in front of the American public, and they're not with all that no more. That phony and fake ain't gonna work. So I'm just saying they might need to swap out their star player if you're trying to get people to jump on this bandwagon of impeaching Trump after 100 days in office. Ain't nothing really changed but the Gulf of America. Price is still high. I mean, like, what's really changed? What's really changed? Well, some federal employees lost their jobs, about 75 or 750,000, a bunch of them, like at least 75,000 federal employees did lose jobs. A lot of them did get retirements, pensions, and all that kind of stuff. But that I can't say did happen. Okay, so, but this guy, come on, guys. Oh, AI is just merciless. Y'all see that? It looks like it. It looks believable too. It looks very believable. Yeah, Michigan, you are on notice for this. I am very disappointed, Michigan. Y'all did this to whoever, and then they let this man jump out there. Nobody say, hey, whoa, Shri, hold on. I got you. I'll do it. I'll do the speech. I'll do it. They could have got Al Green. Al Green said he was going to try it, then never followed up. Probably because, you know, he didn't have his cane or whatever. But really, guys, like, I'm so disappointed in this movement. After all that we've seen, this is the best that we come up with. After all that we have to pull from as far as what to do and who to do it with, pause, and we get this dude. See, look at the memes. Nobody can take this serious because it's not serious. And Michigan, I no longer take you serious. Everything about Michigan is on notice for at least a year. At least a year, till this person is not there anymore. This is what y'all voted for. This is crazy. This is absolutely nuts. So let's get into it, because this is what we got. So we got one side that's saying that in the first 100 days, they want President Trump to be impeached. So let's talk a little bit more about these first 100 days then, if that's what we're going to do. All right? Hold on. Let's talk a little bit more about it since we're talking about it now, since this is what we're doing. Let's just get into it, all right? So let's go over the influential moves by the Trump administration that has actually happened so far. Right? So we had Elon Musk and Doge, who basically they were aimed to cut $1 trillion out of the budget. They cut, they later revised it to like $150 billion, which I think they got. They eliminated USAID, targeted the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, closed down the Department of Education, consolidated some citizen data, Social Security numbers, student loans, and that raised some privacy concerns. I remember that. But that was sort of justified by Doge as a tool to combat the waste and fraud thing they were talking about. But what that also did was it impacted a bunch of federal workers. So right off the top, we closed down some agencies, dismantled the Department of Education, consolidated citizen data into one system, and put everything under the Department of State, I believe it was. And then 75,000 federal workers accepted buyouts or were fired. And that was in that first 100 days. See what else we got. Immigration, right? All right, so we had immigration. We had the Lake and Riley Act went into play, which mandates ICE to like get rid of people faster, I guess. Anybody accused of theft, resisting or assaulting police, just any any crime that's not a victimless crime, they would get deported for that. So ICE arrests have surged 500-600%. And that is compared to, of course, the Biden administration. But we're just going to say it's soared with over 20,000 people in February. That was the data on that. So February and March, 20, 30,000 people. Border crossings dropped 95%, which is the lowest, according to the data, in 25 years. So 25 years ago, who was the president? What, Clinton? Might have been Clinton. I don't know. So it's saying, the data is saying that the border crossings dropped to a low that hasn't been seen since Clinton. Now, with that, he also pardoned all of the January 6th defendants, which was like 1,500 people, some of which had assaulted police, some of which shat upon desks, destroyed property, and then some of them, even once freed, continued to do this kind of behavior. And at least one of them I know of got offed by the police after the fact. So personally, I think they should have handled January 6th with a more careful hand instead of just letting everybody go. But that might not have been the best thing. But it did energize the conservatives, but it deepened how much we distrust this so-called government justice, right? Everybody's always saying no one's above the law, no one's above the law, but we've seen 1,000 examples in the last 100 days of people sort of being above the law, or at least acting like it. So I'm not sure if letting all the January 6th people go was a good idea the way they did it. I'm not saying that some people couldn't have had commuted sentences, because some of them were in jail for a while at that point, and they did have, really low-level trespassing charges, basically. So that made sense. But let's go into it, okay? Let's get into it here. Hold on a second here. Let me get to my full data's here, okay? All right, so with the immigration crackdown and the January 6th defendants, like I said, with the January 6th thing, it really showed, if you're a Trump supporter, it's almost like you can do no wrong, Meanwhile, if you're supporting the left and you're damaging a Tesla dealership or spray painting a Tesla, the Department of Justice is coming to get you. So it does seem a little weird. So the government restructuring, and that's the next thing I wanted to talk about, was positive in one way. They revived the Schedule F to reclassify federal workers to at will, which I guess is a positive, but that's only because most of us work at will employment. But what that did was it enabled faster removal of underperforming staff and replacement with Trump loyalists, seen as a win for them for accountability. So transparency mandates exposed the agency waste, and that resonated with us as the voters to a degree, right? Because they started talking about, oh, we found this money, we found that money, we found this money, we found that money. But the negative of that was, in that process, there's been 150 new lawsuits started with judges blocking pretty much every action that they've talked about, calling it unconstitutional, which is why I said, what has actually happened? Ask yourself what's actually passed through, other than things that you've seen in the headlines and people losing their jobs. What has actually passed through, for Congress or any real changes? We've seen a lot of executive orders. I haven't seen a lot of executive action, if that makes sense, on anything other than the border. So we got the situation with Harvard University. They're suing over federal freezing of money that the feds were giving to them because their students are protesting, which is technically a First Amendment right in free speech. So that's a battle that's going on that really isn't going to end anywhere because Harvard's got money. So they'll fight with it until they can't anymore, but people will still go there and they're going to be fine. But there's been a very serious attack on any institution that would consider itself to be woke or have woke ideology. And so for some people, that's a positive. For other people, it's a negative. But they suspended funding to any university, media outlet, law firms, anybody who was promoting woke ideology. So that did away with DEI, and that aligned with what Trump had said during the presidency, that he was going to do that. So a lot of his folks are fully appreciative of that. Nobody's like his supporter base is not mad that DEI was banned. The people that put him in office don't really care about that. So for them, it's a positive, but for other people, it's a negative. Federal judges that block some of these actions, you know, they rebuked Trump a couple of times, and, you know, they're putting up a little bit of a fight, but they don't seem to be stopping anything, but they're just kind of slowing everything up. So now let's talk about Pam Bondi and the Department of Justice. So there was a bunch of investigations. Like I said, I'm running through this quick because I'm trying to get through 100 days. It was a lot. He did a lot in 100 days. The Justice Department claimed to release MLK files, JFK files, the RFK files, the Epstein files, and we really didn't get much out of that, so that didn't really happen. Let's see here. Trying to think of what else. I mean, those were all executive orders, so he had a bunch of polarizing executive orders. Now, did these executive orders raise to the level of impeachment some of the things he was asking for? I don't think so, because if so, they wouldn't have had Shri Tanadar being the lead dude for it. They would have loved to have one of their top-notchers, one of their Cory Bookers, one of their, you know, the Democratic Party would have loved to have one of their people that they needed to be face front for the next election to be the person to bring these charges. But they know it's BS. So anyway, one of the main things that Trump did, and I'm sorry if I'm missing y'all in the chat, like I said, I'm trying to get through it really quickly because it's a lot. But the main thing is, and I want y'all to remember this, is when he declared that border emergency, it made it so he could funnel everything to the border. Money, the military. So he did the Lake and Riley Act so he could do that. And now he's attacking, or at least attacked, what we thought to be birthright citizenship. Now, forget the headlines. The actual birthright citizenship that we know of for, you know, Black Americans, as we'll call them, was not affected. This had more to do with people who were not citizens, like their parents weren't citizens. They came across a border and the child was born here. And so what his executive order did was it allowed them to say if at least one of the parents was not an American citizen when the child was born, then the child is not an American citizen and would have to go through regular, you know, classes to become a citizen. So I don't know if that actually passed through, but that was the goal. And I know that was the executive order. So jumping across the border right before you have a baby didn't automatically give the baby citizenship anymore. And I think that we need to be honest about that. Birthright citizenship was for the children of slaves who were brought here illegally. That's where that amendment came from. It wasn't designed for, you know, Southern American immigrants or whomever to just sneak across the border and drop a baby. So that was kind of messed up. But the Alien Enemies Act has really been the main thing of the Trump administration. Deportation became the main thing. It's the main thing that they show on TV. Recently, they had all of the people's faces that they've locked up. It was on the White House lawn, like some freaking, I don't know what to call them. What, lawn signs? Like some, you know, like they had a bunch of faces looking like when you used to put a person's skull on a stick in front of the village so that people knew if you came in there, we might chop your head off. That's what it looked like to me, but it was like a little more professional. You know, the heads of those that had been. And let's see what we got here. That's true. I almost missed that one. You're right. He also put in an executive order to say that they only recognize two genders in America. And there is, of course, that very small percentage of people who have differences in their body. I was watching a movie with my wife the other day. What was it called? The Conclave. I want to say it was Conclave. It was like about some Catholic priest situation. But most of y'all will probably never see that movie. Spoiler alert here. But at the end, a particular person turns out to be basically a hermaphrodite, which the Catholic Church was apparently against. So, or that person couldn't be the Pope or something like that. It was something weird like that, but that was definitely a twist in the story. And at the end of the day, it's kind of like that person chose to live their life a certain way, identifies what they identified as, but they did have both things kind of going on down there. That group is what I call the gray area. Okay? Because technically they don't really fall into one particular sex because of their lower areas. But in some cases, there's something that becomes more prominent. You produce more of one thing versus the other. So you end up passing more for one side than the other. And I guess people just kind of go with that. I don't know what to tell you about that one as far as the two genders thing. But the two genders thing was really designed to keep grown-ass men from playing in sports. That's what that was about. And so if you consider something to be a woman's sport and transgender women are considered women, then that was a problem. So they said, all right, there's only two genders, and that forces the people with male plumbing to be pushed over into the male sports, which on one side seems fair because a lot of them were dominating in the women's sports space. So seems like we want to do that. So in addition to that, they did mandate some public disclosure of waste, fraud, and abuse claims, but we haven't seen that transfer into anything else. So let's say this. Nobody's actually said, hey, we found $1 billion and we put it into this. They just keep saying, we found this money. We found this money, we found this money, we found this money. I keep saying the same thing. If you found it, cut the check. Cut the check. Don't keep promising the check. Cut it. Cut the check. That's all I want to see. You want people to believe that these things are actually being done and not just BS data being presented to you so you think something's going on, but there's no real tangibles to pull from it. Cut the check. That's what you do after 100 days. I'm hearing about tax cuts. I'm hearing about this baby boost they're talking about where you get like $5,000 for your new baby, you know, but not everybody's having babies. I'm not having no more kids. That might be for my kids. They might have another kid after now, but not me. So that $5,000 don't mean nothing for me. But that Doge money was supposed to be for everybody. So cut the check. Cut the shit, cut the check. Okay? Go with that. Now, critics have feared that the Doge effect has caused people to not trust the government anymore. That the first 100 days of Trump's administration, because of his attacks on the federal government agencies, has forced the American public to no longer trust the federal government. Now, I would suffice to say, or venture to say, that we never really trusted the federal government, so that's not a new thing at all. So you can't just blame it on Doge and say that, well, Doge is exposing us, so now people don't trust us. Well, we didn't trust you before, and Doge just kind of, if what they're saying is 100% true, then Doge is just proving what we already knew, is just, y'all dirty. You got access to things that we can't see. And the human mind is easily malleable when there's a crisis on the line. So if somebody needs some money or thinks they need some money, and somebody approaches them and says, hey, I got a deal for you, and they have access to certain things, there's a good chance that they'll do something nefarious. It's the human condition. That's why I don't trust people. Because when placed in a certain position, you would do stuff that's like super nefarious. So let's be honest about it. Trump's people still support him. I keep seeing these headlines on some of the news outlets that say, you know, everybody's having buyer's remorse, or Trump supporters are turning, and they talked about Candace Owens was turning on Trump. I'm not really getting that. I'm not really seeing as much of that as I would need to see to think that that MAGA base is not still strong. And the reason why they're still strong is because they see these people all the time. They got Caroline Levitt every day talking to folks, getting them to just give them another day, give them another week, give them another this. It's been 100 days. And even with all of these things that are happening, Trump's approval rating is historically low. which is interesting. And I mean, like, historically for what? Historically for this time period, historically amongst presidents, historic amongst Trump or Trump supporters, but it's still at a low of about, he's at like 50, 60% in an overall disapproval rating. And the reason why is because of tariffs. Okay? Let's talk about tariffs. Recently, I was sent information basically saying that Shein, remember, Shein, and Amazon have already been putting up on their sites, these prices are because of tariffs. And if you were here in the very beginning of the episode, I did play a clip from Caroline Levitt who did say that she feels like it's politically driven. And I guess that raises a good question. If you go on Amazon right now and a product is more expensive, would you automatically say this is Trump's fault because of the tariffs? Or would you be like, this is Amazon's fault because Amazon is who's selling the product and they have to mark it up a certain amount in order to make their profit? And I would venture to say most people would blame Amazon initially. So that's why Amazon and Shein and Temu is next are all going to be all their prices are getting ready to go up. All of them. Because their stuff was made in China and India. Now, granted, they're saying we're close to a deal, which may happen, but it hasn't happened in the first 100 days, and tariff time is up. Trump said these tariffs are hitting, and they're hitting this week. His 100 days is here, it's tariff time. So if a deal isn't on the table or being floated, it may not happen. So guys, prepare for that. But I don't think it's political. I think Amazon just wants people to not blame them for these high-ass prices. And I think that's fair because Bezos was front row at that inauguration ceremony. So I'm not saying he's Trump's buddy, but he was front row at the inauguration ceremony. So the fact that he's putting whatever up on these products and Amazon products and all that, and I'm not going to lie, I was dealing with some stuff on my store when it comes to shipping things anywhere outside the U.S. They are really tripling the price right now. I didn't think the tariffs I thought it was a 90-day pause. So why is the price changed? If there was a 90-day pause that just started on April Fool's Day, that was less than 30 days ago. So how is there a 90-day pause, but y'all done already gone up on price, and you're telling us it's about the tariffs that haven't hit yet? Sounds like BS. Sounds like BS. Sounds like some BS. Sounds like bullshit. So they're going to get over on us for a little bit. The tariffs are going to come in at that point, and then it'll really be that. So they're probably just changing the prices before it actually happens, and they're blaming it on that, and there you go. So just get ready. Get ready for that. So, like I said, approval ratings overall, and that's among Republicans, Democrats alike, are down. So that means that people are generally not happy. But it's really because there were some promises made that have not been kept, and they're the ones that affect the American middle class the most. I heard about no tax on tips and so on and Social Security and all that kind of stuff. Why is this not already in the hearings and being started? Why am I still hearing about it as an idea and not a process? I mean, how long are you going to dangle this freaking carrot before you're going to just take it away and say, you know what, I was never going to give you that carrot. I just needed you to follow it for a little bit. I don't know. But that was definitely a promise made. I heard her say it again in the press conference for today. They're going to be rolling out some new information on the tariffs today. Today, okay? So you pay attention. Everything's about to go up right now, but there's a 90-day pause. I'm feeling violated. I feel like someone is trying to violate me and trying to make me think that I'm stupid. Bezos, We've been on to you, bro. We see what you're doing. All of them. You were front row. And he could have sat in the back. I don't want to hear that, Al Bond. He ain't the president. He does not need to sit in the front row. Elon wasn't in the front row. Bezos was in the front row. And Elon then put up money, and was all out there with chainsaws and everything. He was all on Trump's balls and didn't get that front row. So Bezos, man, I'm on to him. You raising all this stuff for 2 months before these tariffs are even supposed to be in play. Why? So you can gouge the crap out of us for 2 straight months and make all of that profit before it becomes the actual price margin. And then what can you do when that happens? You can go up on the price again and blame it on the tariffs went all the way into play. Gotcha. All right, let's see what else we got here. Gas prices. Okay. Nothing specific, but I've been tracking the gas prices in general, and the gas prices remained relatively in the same range throughout the last 100 days. I think in most places it's down 6-7%, and that's not a lot. So let's say that's the difference between $3.20 and $3.15 for those areas. California gas is still around $4, if not more. So the gas price has not come down. And once again, the tariffs have not gone into play yet. So if the gas price isn't coming down right now, the cost of energy isn't coming down right now, and we know that these things are shipped in and moved around, then how's it going to go down later? You ever seen anything go down like that? I haven't. But the tariffs on steel, the tariffs on materials are really contributing to the upward cost of gas, basically because some things are powered by these types of energy. So a steel plant that now has to waste more money on shipping inside the United States. So they're going to find ways to change prices to take care of it. So yes, the American people, you're going to get stuck with that. So if you're in one of those areas where the gas is going down, congratulations for you. That's great. But I haven't noticed any more than, let's say, a 10 to maybe 20 cent overall change. I've seen it dip a few times where it was like, oh my God, it's down that low. But then 2 days later, it spikes right back up. So just on an average, I'd say maybe 10 cent, being fair. Egg prices. Let's talk about it. We talked about eggs a lot in the campaign. Egg prices went up in March. That was last month, but that was because of apparently the bird flu messed up some things, and then they said that that was also because of tariffs. But like I said, when Tariff Day went into play, that was Liberation Day, within the first 24 hours of those tariffs, they were paused for 90 days. So the tariffs never actually went into play. So how is anything based on tariff problems now if they never actually went into play? They got us on that one. Or at least they're trying to get us on that. But, you know, we viewers, we're way smarter than that. We saw what that was. So he imposed 145% tariffs on China, 25% on Canada and Mexico, and 10% on like 56 other countries, with the idea of bringing in more revenue, I guess, for our trades, and possibly bringing in new, not necessarily new industries, but new manufacturing back to America. Problem was, when he did that initially, because it didn't even last 24 hours, he crashed the stock market for a day, and it reduced the overall consumer confidence. But the stock market returned the next day at a 300% increase. 300%. People made millions that day. Investors, divestors, portfolio havers, whatever you want to call them, a lot of them made a bunch of money off of that. And a lot of people lost a bunch of money. But it was a quick bang bang, and it redistributed some wealth. And that happened in the first 100 days. We might not know it now, but we'll see where it starts to pop up. So when it comes to the trade deals, no major deals have been secured yet. Not one. Nothing. The only thing that has happened is they talked about it, and then there was a pause. And now we're just in the pause. And they're talking about the deals are still on the table. So we're going to have to see where these deals go. The ceasefire negotiations, how'd that go? How'd the ceasefire negotiations go? Well, Ukraine is still fighting with Russia. Hamas is still fighting with Israel. There was a ceasefire in the Israel-Hamas thing, but they're not really sure about the return of it or the return of the fire unceasing. And Trump has pretty much touted the idea of demolishing the whole Gaza Strip and rebuilding it into Trump Plaza Gaza. Really nice, uppity place that a bunch of world leaders will come to, modeling, in his words, Dubai. So what he wants to do is turn Gaza into Dubai. So that's what's going on with Israel-Hamas, okay? Ukraine did get a partial ceasefire going on, but then there was some more attacks. And most recently, Trump has talked to Zelensky and told Zelensky that he's going to need to give up the areas that Russia already took and just let him have them. And if he has them, then that should escalate the ceasefire. So that was a positive that the ceasefire exists. But I even asked this on my internet stuff yesterday as to, like, what if somebody said you could stop World War III by giving up 2 U.S. states, what 2 states would they be and why? Now, my answer to it was pick the Dakotas because I don't really need them. But the thing is, that would be like in the middle of the U.S. and we wouldn't want some foreign country having land right in the middle of the U.S. So I ended up thinking, let's go with like Vermont and Rhode Island, that little block up there at the top by Maine, and then Maine will just be its own thing over there above that. And we'll go with Vermont and Rhode Island right there. Take those 2. Okay? So the war has not technically ended. All right? So now some of these things were the day one things. Remember that I'm going to do it day one? Remember that? So he did say that. And I believe in holding people accountable, but I also believe in allowing them the time to screw up so that I can hold them accountable. Can't say you can't do it if I haven't let you try it. So to some degree, it did have a partial ceasefire, but there's no end right now. And on top of it, we're still trying to negotiate trade deals with all of these people. Now, the deportation statistics, we all know went up, but that all depends on how much you think deportation is helpful. What I think is a lot of the deportations may open up jobs, but it's only a temporary opening because those new factories and the new stuff that's coming back is all going to be AI based. And so you need to learn AI in order to have a really nice job. Because all those construction vehicles and all that stuff, a lot of stuff's going to be automatic. And you can sit in an office and create a program that tells it how to basically grade the ground for a building of a certain size, and then you just send the damn bulldozer out there, and it does it. That's what's about to happen. If you don't know, in warehouses, they have automated machines all over the place that move around. They go from one thing to the next, and they have a designated path that they follow, and they do things, and they're way more efficient than us because they don't have to sleep. They just need a little WD-40 from time to time. So that's who you're competing with. You're competing with AI for the next job. And since you can't compete with AI in speed, you can compete with AI in understanding it and being creative with it. So you need to learn AI. If you have an opportunity to pick up on some coding, I'm studying my Python stuff and all that right now, trying to get a little more acclimated to it. Do it, because that's where it's going. So let's go down here. We only got a couple more here. So I'm just running down the list. So no war has been stopped. No tariffs actually went into play, but they got talked about. The Gulf of America is real, which is interesting to me, because that seems to be the only thing that nobody was opposed to, other than the press. What else we got? Deportation, of course, is up. The U.S. military has a new base that is basically a 60-foot strip along the border so that they can anybody that climbs the border or cuts across the border at that point, you are now stepping foot onto a military base illegally, and you can and will be shot. So that's what that was about. If you didn't catch that one, that was last week. Okay, now we've got the judges with the litigation, with corruption for the judges, but there's no direct lawsuits against the judges for any, waste, fraud, and abuse. There's no direct lawsuits against any congressional personnel, any federal employees regarding waste, fraud, and abuse. So how do we find all of this money that was waste, fraud, and abuse, and nobody's on the hook for the waste, the fraud, and the abuse? That part is a little interesting to me. If they found out I laundered $5 million, they would come for me immediately, and I'd be sitting in jail, and the headline would be, he laundered $5 million. I haven't seen them bring anybody in for all this billions and trillions of dollars that were misappropriated and being sent to dead people and da-da-da-da-da. You ain't brought nobody in. And some of these things that were being claimed are highly illegal. So nobody? You didn't pull in nobody till this judge sent an illegal to hang out in his house for a little bit, or the one that sent an illegal migrant out the back door at the courtroom? Nobody else got arrested this whole 100 days? That's interesting. And so Trump's call to impeach judges is its own thing, but that's not locking up. And if you tell me people are doing illegal stuff that I would technically get locked up for, if you're not locking nobody up, then you're just talking shit. So once again, you already know, I smell it, guys. I smell it. Let's say, if you don't hear Jaguar right, she said it.
I smell bullshit.
You heard it? All right. So it's a lot of bullshit. Draco said, give up Michigan. That's funny. I don't know. Michigan, you on the hook right now until we see something else come out of there. I'm not even going to watch nothing Michigan based for a little bit. I'm boycotting Michigan for that. For Shri, what is his name? Shri Tanadar. Shri Tanadar. In case y'all forgot. So let's finish up here. I'm almost done. And I thank y'all for letting me go through this, because like I said, it's been an eventful 100 days, and I had to go over it because people will act like I'm not paying attention because I'm not constantly just talking shit about what Trump has done wrong. Now, I like to let things play out a little bit so that I can have a real conversation, like real conversation. So, in all actuality, let's recap this, okay? First 100 days delivered what the Trump administration would call some successes in border security, the ceasefire deals, and the whole Doge government efficiency thing, but have definitely faced some issues with the economic strain of pricing and basically going up before the tariffs, institutional attacks, and very divisive policies. It's like, if you're not on this side, you're an enemy. And if you're not with this, you're an enemy, and all enemies will be prosecuted to the highest extent of the law. Now, some things you can just be opposed to. You can be opposed to illegal migrants being deported. I don't recommend you take them to your house. I think that's stupid. But you can be opposed to it. I just don't think taking them to your house as a judge is smart if you want to oppose this administration. And, because they can tout those successes, that's why he put those faces on the lawn of the White House. They're going to say it's a net positive. So that's why I need everybody to just remember that right now, none of those tariffs have taken place. They were all paused immediately. The stock market crashed and bounced back up. Wealth redistribution happened. A bunch of millions and billions got moved around. We don't necessarily know where it went. Some people were congressional. There was a lot of insider trading. We saw all of that happen right in front of our eyes. But what we haven't seen happen is we haven't seen anybody cut the check to the American people. who put the man in office, and the folks that they say they're trying to save and help, and the folks they say they're trying to look out for. It's you, it's me, it's us. Has anybody gotten a check? I didn't get no check. If anything, shit is still expensive, and all I'm hearing is it's about to get more expensive, and I'm not paying $10 for the stuff I used to pay $2 for. So maybe we do need to understand that, hey, it's time to break it down. I need all the businesses to understand, the ones that outsourced and created part of this problem, which is what Trump is saying he's trying to fix. I don't want any of them to be well off. I don't. Because they're getting over on you early because of something that hasn't even happened yet. And that to me is disingenuous. So for me, I do have my Prime membership, but I'm not going to renew it. Okay? I do have my Amazon Prime membership though, so they got me for this month. But I'm not going to renew it just because I don't like how they're treating my people. I don't like that. You're raising a price based on a tariff that hasn't hit yet. The car dealerships in my area are now advertising and saying, you want to pay no tariffs? Come here to this place. But there's no tariffs yet. No international shipping tariffs. If there's any tariffs going on, it's internal. If you're tariffing a metal, it's an internal tariff. You're just tariffing your own people at that point. So I don't think that's what's going on. I think we're still doing what we were doing. There's a pause on the tariffs, and the businesses are now taking advantage of the American people, not just the government. And the businesses are taking advantage of the fact that a lot of us don't pay attention, and so we really just think that's why that's happening, and it hasn't even happened yet. So for the supporters out here that support the America First agenda, I think America being first agenda as a root is okay. You should want your crew to be first. You should want your country to be first. I don't think any other country is scrutinized for wanting to be number one. Nobody's in China mad at China because China want to run something. So we need to first accept the fact that we do want a better country. But secondarily, we have to accept the fact that money moves, and if you're not part of the movement of the money, you're part of where that money actually came from. It'll come from your pocket. But it's not Donald Trump all the time doing it. Other opportunists, such as Jeff Bezos, also utilize these opportunities to hike up prices, which is something they told us they were going to stop them from doing. Remember before the campaign or during the campaign, we're going to stop the price gouging. Or maybe that was Kamala Harris that said that. Actually, that was Kamala Harris's thing about price gouging businesses. Well, here we go. Am I saying that Kamala Harris would have been a better selection? Not saying that per se. I'm just saying that she did mention that businesses would do exactly what they're doing right now and were doing what they're doing right now. So people still support the action because they like the shakeup. They like the look that things are changing. But they're not changing the way you think they are. They're changing because businesses are taking advantage of our ignorance. So Trump's first 100 days didn't empower him as much as it empowered the businesses that were sitting in that front row at Inauguration Day. Bezos was front row. Elon was front row. Well, no, Elon was like third row. But Bezos was front row. So I'm just going to let y'all know, man, I ain't falling for none of it. It's all bullshit to me, but I just want to make sure that we are the ones that are looking at it objectively so we can make real decisions on how we're going to move forward with our lives. Because I'm going to tell you right now, this Shri, the hell is his name? What is his name? Shri, that guy. You know the guy I'm talking about. Let's see here. I might bring him back over just so I can get one more look at him. See if I can bring him back over here. Bring him back over. Here you go. I'm going to bring him on the bottom. Here's this guy. I don't want to cover my own face, but let's see. I wonder if I scroll this down, will it cover me? No. Shoot. Okay. Well, whatever. This guy. You get it, you see it. This is who they came with to lead the charge for what's supposed to be the rest of us. I'm not buying it at all. What I am buying is less stuff because they're not going to get over on me. I don't care about Temu. I don't care about Shein. I don't care about Amazon. I don't care about none of them. They are all gouging us right now. And Trump paused the tariffs. So they don't deserve your business. They don't. I could still go to Dollar General and stuff at Dollar General is still the same price. So why is Amazon more expensive and there's been no change? Okay. Y'all keep getting got if you want to. I ain't the one. I am not the one. So let me run through my shouts because I do have to get out of here. I got stuff to do. And I'm sure Trump will be interviewed. He's going to be all over the headlines all day today because this is his 100th day. Everybody's talking about it. And that's why I dedicated most of the show to it because I know SEO wants that. We'll get back to our crazy clips and all that kind of stuff when I come back on Thursday. But this episode was for us to just be objective. Hindsight is 20/20. We can look over things and say this is what has changed. This is what hasn't changed. And we can just be honest and truthful about it. Regardless of how you feel or whether or not you voted for Trump or you didn't vote for Trump, you can look at things and say this is more expensive, this is not more expensive. This has changed, this has not changed. And these are just facts that we're looking at. Told you guys months ago, deportation or mass deportation would be a mess. Prepare for it. Has it not been a mess? Yes. So we shouldn't have been tripping. We should have been like, yeah, this is what he said. This is going to be a mess. But we do have to allow our legal and law enforcement agencies to do their jobs to the capacity of which their jobs are supposed to be done. And if for some reason they break the law, the Department of Justice is supposed to handle that. That's their job. Not my job to go to El Salvador and pick nobody up. Just saying. So, special shouts to all of our folks that did stop in for this super long episode, but it's not my fault, it's Trump's fault. He did a lot of stuff in the first 100 days, and I just wanted to go over the main ones, because he signed over 150 different executive orders. He recently signed an executive order, I think, saying that teachers can start whooping kids again in school. We haven't gone over that one yet. So that happened. Maybe you didn't hear about that either. That's all I'm saying. So for those people who are in the chat with me, I'm going to run through my shout outs. I see Lunar just came in with something crazy. But I don't think that, Lunar, you by yourself can make America lesbian and trans, which is crazy. But I do appreciate you stopping in. So this gong is for you. All right. And we got Zach C in the chat with Trump is the GOAT. And make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. Stay on here. Gabe Sherman, special shouts to you. Man, Draco in the chat. Always a pleasure to see you. Purple Groovy working on that wrench coming this week. Thank you for jumping in. My man Al Bond, that is my mod squad captain. He makes sure don't nobody get out of line. Lunar could have got out of line. I'm not sure. But stream is about to end anyway. So Lunar, you better get it all out. IAMZ giving you a special shout. And of course, all of my other folks from the early part of the stream there. So I thank y'all for coming through, man. But I just want to say one last thing, and then I want to get out of here. Trump is about to make a bunch of movement. Okay? A bunch of movement. And Lunar, I get your point. I get your point. Tax money is going to fund operations, and operations are funding transism, if that's a thing. And so technically we are funding transism. But you know what? I didn't cut the check. So we're going to see. I don't believe any of the files and stuff that we were supposed to get are going to come out. Nothing different is going to happen. All that stuff is protected by redaction and all types of other HIPAA and, you know, all these weird regulations. We as the American public are not allowed to see all of that. We're not. Okay? So just be ready for the next level of BS because it's coming. It's coming. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. When these tariffs hit, the businesses are going to gouge the shit out of us before it happens so they can stack up their money so that when we decide to stop buying stuff because it's really that expensive, then they will have already made some money to get themselves through. And you already know that that's not going to work for me. I see it coming. If you guys don't see it coming, I don't know what to tell you. But that, my friends, is the bullshit. We out.